Polarity practice, I think, means vastly different things to different people. And so if I describe what polarity practice, or the impact it's had on me, it'll be different to how it would be experienced by you if you took part in it, because it is a practice. So I'll just give a bit of a talk around some of it, and then Sue's going to take us on a little guided meditation that has got some polarity aspects about it. And then we might talk about what, as a group, you guys might like to do if you wanted to come with us on the polarity practice journey over the next 6 months, and just give you the mechanics of how that kind of fits together. For me, I think polarity practice, I just don't mind if I read because I'm unaccustomed as I am to public speaking. Polarity practice is an exercise in perspective taking in the main, and it's been designed and developed by John Kessler, an American lawyer and a Mormon bishop. And the PDF should have come out with this call to you that you can read, that is a really beautiful and a detailed description of the process, written by two people, one of whom is Terry Fallon, and John and Terry do a lot of work together. He started off working with voice dialogue in the big mind process. Most people know, anyone know, you know what voice dialogue is? Someone like to describe voice dialogue to the rest of the group? Okay, well, I'll do it then. I think I'll try and summarize it. It's a process where various cognitive voices are called out, and it's a way of sort of individuating things inside your mind. So someone might say, I want to talk to the voice of agency, and then we would reply, you are speaking to the voice of agency. And then the questioner might say, what gifts does agency bring you? And then we might say, well, agency takes us out into the world. Agency enables us to get things done. Agency gives me a sense of being in the world and being an individual. And you can do this either as a solo practice or sitting in a group. You hear other people describe what agency is in their mind. And then that helps you piece together what agency might look like in your own. So it is powerfully done in a group, listening to other voices of agency. And sometimes their voices of agency give permission to voices inside your head. You mightn't think agency is a good thing. And so to hear other people speaking about it like it might be a good thing, it gives it privilege inside your own head. Well, what he found was that most voices, there seemed to be a polar opposite would come forward. So the polar opposite of agency might be the voice of communion. And he started to think that if someone didn't contact the polar opposite of a particular voice, it might be because that was shadow for them, that it was something that was repressed. And so it was important to try and get both sides, both voices in conversation. And that generally meant stepping back in perspective to a place where both voices could engage each other. So the voice of agency could say to the voice of communion, I take us out in the world, what do you do for us? And the voice of communion can then speak back. And so within this dialogue, neither voice is privileged. And the perspective shift itself that takes, because you've got to get back to be able to hold both these voices simultaneously is what it's about. In the meditation practices, they generally have a sort of form, although it's not rigid, that you start considering each side of the polarity separately. So you might think we might concentrate on the voice of agency for a while and then concentrate on the voice of communion, and just think of these two concepts in isolation, perhaps in opposition. And then the next thing is to find some context or ground that holds both sides of the polarity, and that might be something prior to both of them, before our minds split them, created distinctions to separate them. And this is a viewpoint where we're starting to look at both and. So we had either or. Now we start to look at the polarity as both this and that. And then the meditation tends to bring us into a circumstance where they interpenetrate each other. And then finally, the two become one in a non-dual experience of the polarity. And then comes the kick, which is just the bounce of this thing, that now we've got to this still point where both sides of the polarity are being held as one thing in this point of absolute stillness and union and fullness. And then what we're asked to do is regard this as one pole of another polarity. And the other side of that polarity is emptiness. Yet that emptiness still holds the meaning of the original polarity, but it's like one of those sculptured masks, you know, where the mask is back to front, so it's all away from you, so that there is no longer a face there. It's just this hollowed out shape. But in that emptiness is all the meaning that was there before. So you get to these two still points, which are now a still point of fullness and emptiness. And you should have on your screen, here's agency and communion. So here's a diagram of it. On the left is agency, and on the right is the pole of communion. And these two form that interpenetration where you find a transcendent place of fullness. That's TF on the top in the middle. And each of these polarities has a way of entering it in a concrete way, and appreciating it in a subtle way, and appreciating it in a causal way. So any one of the polarities is sufficient to take you right through to a causal, non-dual experience. There are pathologies associated with them and virtues associated with them, but I don't want to I've taken up too much time already. There's a list of the polarities that came out to you as well. Yeah, that's the list on the, but I've made a table that's easier to read, I reckon. And they run from mind with the polarity of focus and openness, which is just a practice of meditation, either focused meditation or being wide open to the universe. And then a physiological pair of life, expansion and contraction, desire and aversion. And then a concrete self-range, agency and communion, control, submission, alignment, deviation, facilitation, inquiry, leading and following. And you can see at the left side of this page, we can send you a copy of this one as well, are the stages of the perspectives of O'Fallon roughly mapped onto it. But really, one needs to keep away from the thought that you work your way up through these stages to get to a place of enlightenment. That is not what it does. The strength of this comes in that mental practice of holding a polarity, taking it to both and, taking it to interpenetration, then finding point of non-dual fullness, and then pulling back from that to a state of non-dual emptiness, which you can do on any one of these. That's about it. Any questions?
Trish, I'm noticing the time is 2 minutes to go. Have I got time to actually do anything?
Yeah, we started a little late anyway, Sue. So, as you know, if you planned for a 15-minute thing, go with the 15-minute thing. So you're absolutely fine.
Okay, so one of the polarities is around power, and it's based on submission and control. And so you can explore the voice of submission and the voice of control, and you arrive at the still point. And so part of the practice that John does is these little meditations that cultivate the qualities that emerge when you are in the still point. And the power one is I've actually been doing this meditation for probably a week and a half, and it's interesting with the whole Trump thing coming out around power. So this is a meditation for the still point, which is about peace, and it's about letting go of conflict. So 5 minutes, if you would like to have a go, and it requires closing your eyes, just getting tuned in again to your body, noticing your body on the chair, how you're sitting, getting into that meditative space, noticing your breath, and notice in your body if there's any conflict, and just let it go. It might be conflict at a physical level, could be at an emotional or a mental level. And just invite that conflict to go. And then find a place of deep mental and emotional peace. Feel that in your body. And now move into a more transcendental peace, one that invites the cosmos in, cosmic peace. It's got a deeper sense of wholeness, an embrace of the whole. It's beyond self. And just inviting that into your body and feeling where it feels present in your body. And then become aware of the others in the group. And let us together create a container for this group. A container where nothing needs to be said. There's just a quality of presence. A quality that we bring by being fully in our bodies, with peace in our hearts. Feel the qualities here in relationship that you would like to bring forth into the world. And now open to a larger sense of light, the divine, whatever you may call it. And you can choose to explore the notion of what it might mean to be submitting, accepting, allowing of this light, this energy, whatever this is, to enter you. And be aware of the control that you have, the discernment that you can bring in balance to this quality of submission. And feeling that coming in and accepting the gift, which is sacred empowerment. And feeling what it means to have this gift as we move forward into the world with a bigger sense of empowerment. And now bring in the particular qualities of humility and gentleness, to have such empowerment, but to walk with humility and to act with gentleness. And at this point, there's an affirmation: I have the capacity to bring love to all emotions. And just feel what it means to walk through life with this capacity and this ability to bring peacefulness into your own empowerment. So in some way, embedding these qualities, embedding this sense of presence within you, begin to surface, moving, and when you're ready, open your eyes.